freaking first cut. Golly.
Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and this is your recap episode for this week's Open Championship. Joining me to break it all down, Patrick McDonald is here. Patrick, good evening to you.
Good evening, fellas. I just put on a brand new pair of socks. My feet are nice and dry. I'm feeling all cozy. Great Open Championship. Sad that major season is over, but 4 really good ones this year and an all-time round there on Sunday from the champion.
You are not the only one with cozy socks. We'll get to that in just one second. Greg DuCharme is here. Hello, Greg.
Hello, boys. What a week. It happened again. Another fantastic major championship. It had some drama. There was moments where you didn't know who was going to win. Moments where you thought a true Cinderella was going to get it done, and his name wasn't Dan Brown. It was a compelling tournament for many reasons, and I'm looking forward to breaking them down.
Normally, or sometimes we start and do like the early wave stuff, give you a little appetizer, describe. But no, I'm going right for the jugular. We're going to the top of the board because we have an American sweep in the major championships this year. We have, I can't remember the last time it happened. I think it was Tiger ×3 and somebody else for a very rare favorites slam. All 4 major champions were sub 20-1 odds to win. That has not happened in some time. And a major champion that doubled his major tally. Of course, I refer to the champion golfer of the year, Xander Schauffele. And this Sunday final round, Greg, was flawless. It was a 6-under 65 coming from behind, overtaking anybody who got in his way. It was clinical. It was magnificent.
It was magnificent, Rick. A magnificent performance off the tee. His iron play really separated him. And you look at that second 9-31. And it's absolutely incredible. I mean, it played well over par. I believe it was 3 shots over par on the second 9 as an average. And you start looking down the top of this leaderboard, and everybody was shooting 1 over, 1 under, even par on that second 9. Birdies were so hard to come by, unless your name was Xander Schauffele, the only birdie of the day at number 11, and it was nearly a tap in. As birdies at 13 and 14, which was just a phenomenal putt at 14. Gets up and down for birdie at 16. Just his second birdie on a par 5 for the entire week. This was clinical stuff, and a great example of somebody stepping up on one of the most difficult 9s that these players will ever face, taking advantage of it, and shooting a bogey-free 65 to win his second major. Just flawless stuff from Xander.
Birdies on 11, 13, 14, and 16 to essentially run away with this. It was over as the final groups were getting up 17 and up 18. We just got a camera shot of Xander after he signed his card, waiting for the trophy presentation, because that was all that was left. And Patrick, what I love about this performance is not just today, which was awesome, but the week-long understanding of major championship golf. You just hang in there. 69, 72, 69, you just hang. You give yourself a bunch of opportunities. You don't make any stupid mistakes. You do not compound your errors, and then everything starts falling for you on Sunday. He didn't even need all of them, but a 65, the low round of the week for him by a mile. It was a clinic. It was seriously a major championship clinic.
He is the ultimate hanger, right? Certified good hang. With this result, he now has 15 top 10s and 30 major championship appearances. I am no math whiz, but I believe that is 50%, 1 and 2, if you kind of reduced your fractions there. And yeah, the 69 on Saturday was great, even with the scratchy driver. And that was my question mark for him coming into the week and coming into today. He didn't find a single bunker, and I believe he only hit it twice into the longer stuff. A lot of the missed fairways were just off in the semi-rough. And when he did miss it, he hit pearls into these greens. The shot into 11, lacing a wedge up there. Like Greg said, the hardest hole on the golf course, only one to make birdie all day. And then entering the back nine, entering today, from numbers 12 through 18, he had not made a birdie all week. He made 3. He realized, hey, Scottie Scheffler exited stage left with his problems, which I'm sure we will touch on.
Yeah.
I am now the name on this leaderboard. And I guess what's the exchange there on 13? Rose just makes bogey. Schauffele's outside of Rose, who's in tight, and for him to pour it on, Rosie misses his. At that point, he must have felt like, I am now in control of this championship. It took him 4 holes because he entered the back nine 2 strokes off the pace. And so, yeah, like you said, ultimate clinic, so impressive. I've been saying it since the PGA Championship. He's the most well-rounded player in the world, and he proved it this week. Links golf, you need to be well-rounded, and Schauffele proved it again. It's one of the best final round major performances I can remember in a while.
I don't encourage anyone to go back and listen to the tapes from a couple of months ago when not me, not us, but
Call me out.
Some people might have said things like, oh man, this guy's got 13 top 10s in 28 starts, but he can't win the big one. He always is allergic to the lead. He's got a pair of wet socks on, etc., etc., etc. Not us. No one here would have said anything like that. But Greg, I'll start here with you so that Patrick can formulate his response. The conversation is starkly different today.
Yes. I mean, think about, Xander can't take a punch. He showed at these 2 majors that he won this year that he doesn't really have to. If he plays his game and puts his head down and keeps to the grindstone, his game is good enough to win without taking a punch. And this is the kind of thing that will lead him to be able to take a punch in the future, or when things get tough. He has had a nice ability to hang around, but hasn't been able to answer and close the deal late on Sunday. And he said after the round on a couple of occasions how much he used the win at the PGA, how much that helped him. Right, he felt a calmness about him, and was able to step up and take it as a result. And from a technical standpoint, what he's done with his iron play this year and what he did on this back nine was just incredible. I mean, everybody is hitting it to 30 feet, and they're hitting good shots, and we'll get into this, but they just can't get it close. And Xander's hitting it to 20 feet, hitting it to 15 feet, hitting it in there to 3 feet on some occasions. Just the ability for him to get the ball closer to the hole than everybody else paid out. And all of a sudden he gets the 1-9 hole score that you need in majors to win, where you get hot. You hang around par, you get hot in a couple of occasions. In one like this, you only need to get hot once. And he did it on the final 9 on Sunday. Just red hot. So complete. So impressive.
The 4 major championships this year, Patrick, for Xander Schauffele. Win, 8th, and a 7th. That is added up an average finish of 4.25. If you go back to his last 11 major championships, so since he missed the cut at the Masters in 2022, his average finish in majors is 10.4. So yeah, this is not only no longer is it the high floor, but he has just touched the ceiling twice.
He has. And since that 2022 Masters, 11 straight top 20s as well. And then you throw in the 4 top 10s this year. He's in possession of the Claret Jug, the Wanamaker Trophy, the Olympic gold medal, and the longest made cut streak since Tiger Woods' 142. All 4 reside in the Schauffele household as it currently stands. And yeah, I mean, you talk to players and they've all said that, Xander's the guy. You ask them who's the guy to watch out for, and they all said Xander for years now. And really, I mean, honestly, like a lot of us were like, are you sure it's that guy? Right? Can he take a punch? Like we mentioned, I mentioned at the Wells Fargo Championship, probably. And now he's stepping on necks. He stepped on necks today. the Justin Rose exchange, and then to come back, the iron play, like Greg said there on 13, no, the par 3 14th after that, that was another beauty. And Rick, I already mentioned this stat to you, but I know Greg will love this. 4 top 10 finishes and 2 or multiple major wins in the same season. Arnold Palmer, Gary Player, Jack Nicklaus, Tom Watson, Tiger Woods, Jordan Spieth, and Xander Schauffele. Those are the only men in professional golf to do that. That is rarefied air that he just got into.
It's an unbelievable run. And Greg, you were kind of mentioning this. I cannot imagine the liberation, is that the word I'm looking for, of Xander Schauffele having to listen to every dummy, not us, but every dummy saying how he cannot win and he should be winning more and etc. and getting the freedom of the victory at Valhalla. And now just like that has got to feel like the next 5 years of majors, he is just free rolling. And of course, and now it's like in 10 years, he gets the free roll.
Right. Which is just awesome. But you start to think about what Patrick said, how everybody says he's the guy. And I think back to 2021 when Phil won the PGA at Kiowa, he talked about playing with Xander and how Xander in these little money games would, not that Phil's a gambling man, but
and also probably big money games.
Right. He's shooting 61. And Phil was thinking, how do I get to that level? Like that is the standard. That's the precedence. That's the best golf that's being played. And so, Xander's looking at his performance in tournaments and consistently putting himself in contention, consistently getting close, playing in practice rounds or money games, big or small, and probably winning most of them and wondering, okay, well, when am I going to start putting trophies on the board? Right. Because it's like a little bit of a different world. We see them play 4 rounds a week, but they play a lot more rounds than that. And his performance in all of those, from everything that I've heard, is as good as it gets. And now you're starting to see this come through. And it's always fun to look back at resumes after. And you look at this, how many yellow squares there are on his Wikipedia page. And now all of a sudden there's 2 green squares. And it's like, yeah, well, we saw this coming. This is exactly what happened when he won the Travelers and the Scottish Open. It's great performances stacked on top of each other. He wins back to back. Oh yeah, we obviously, this is obviously ahead, but it's not always ahead. Sometimes close calls send guys the other direction, and they haven't for Xander. And it's been a relatively short career, right? He's young. He's been playing since 2017. It hasn't been, while it feels long, right? There's a lot more left in the tank for him, which has got to be just super exciting. Look at that.
Yeah, Josh is showing if you're watching on YouTube, the Wikipedia grid. All right. Well, the obvious, everybody immediately jumped to this question, Patrick. What's the better year? 2 majors and a bunch of top 10s, or 6 wins, one of them being the Masters, along with, so let's see, Scottie's 6 wins are API, Players, Masters, RBC Heritage, Memorial, Travelers.
Well, Rick, like every great debate in sports,
Patrick,
we will get to it after this break.
Hit it. And we're back. That is right. The question we've asked: Scottie Scheffler versus Xander Schauffele. Who's having the better year? Patrick, your hot take.
So we aren't too far removed from a similar conversation in 2019, right? Yes. Brooks Koepka, multiple-time major season. Rory McIlroy, player of the year. And like every great sports debate. It gets settled in the postseason, right? What are you going to do for me in the FedEx Cup playoffs? And we have seen winning that trophy matters, even though, I mean, honestly, Scottie won it without it when he choked that one away to Rory a couple years ago. So I think ultimately Scottie Scheffler will be your player of the year. How could you not? I mean, first guy to win more than 5 times since Vijay Singh or since Tiger Woods, one of them, right? When they won 8 or 9 times, too many to count. But if you asked players truthfully in their hearts of hearts whose year you would want, it is Xander Schauffele's. So I'm siding with the players. I'm a player coach. I'm a player media member. All these things. I love the players. Xander. So with that in mind, Xander Schauffele is my player of the year, not PGA Tour player of the year, but player of the year.
The only problem is, and I agree with you, every single player would want probably Xander's year, but the players are the one who vote for this. So it's like you're
yeah. But
like,
with Jay like over their shoulder, being like, "Ooh, you're really gonna pick A there?" I think the answer is B.
the 2019 year for Brooks Koepka was, he didn't win 2 majors in 19.
Yeah, he only won 1.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, was it 18 then?
I think it was 18. So PGA and the US Open, and Rory's 8. No, because Rory's 19 was
19.
Yeah, because Rory's 19 was the Players, the RBC Canadian, and then the Tour Championship. And Brooks's 19 was the PGA.
He finished top 10.
Yes. He finished top 10 in all of them. 2 runner-up finishes, a win, a 4th, which is a sick finish. And he also won the St. Jude that year, the WGC event. So he had 2 wins,
2 majors,
4 top 4s. So that's, I remember this now. Now, Greg,
a little different.
This is a lot more than Rory won. What Scottie did.
Yes, and he has the Masters.
Yeah,
and the players, right? Yeah. So, like, if you were to think about this as objectively as you possibly can we put a value on majors? How many wins is a major worth? Well, let's call it 3. So majors 3 times more likely, more important than a regular PGA Tour win. Not that Scottie's won any regular events, but because they're all signature events. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, a signature event counts as 1, a Players counts as 1, a major counts as 3. Well, Scottie has 5, and then 3 puts him at 8.
I would even say Players in this scale. I would put Players at it 2.
We put Players at it 2, so Scottie's at 9, Xander's at 6. But the separation is still there because Scottie has the Masters. And I would also say not every player would rather have Xander's year because Scottie has the Masters. I think there are a lot of players that may put the Masters a little bit higher up. One of them, for absolute certainty, would be Rory McIlroy.
That's fair. That is a fair point.
Now, winning the Masters brings you a lifetime invitation to a major every year. It carries a little extra special weight. This one until you're 60. I mean, as we learned from Tiger this year, or were reminded from Tiger this year, it's still a very big deal to win the Open. It's a huge deal to win the PGA. But I think Scottie's season is still ahead of Xander's. But it's not done, right? I mean, a playoff sweep for Xander.
King of Eastlake.
But would it be crazy to think Xander wins 3 playoff events in a row? No.
Well, what happens when Scottie Scheffler wins the St. Jude, the BMW, but only starts with a 2-stroke lead over Xander at Eastlake, and then Xander wins the FedEx Cup? What happens then?
Co-players of the year.
like Scottie's going to win the BMW championship, have 7 wins in a major in the Players under his belt, go in with a two
It's
stroke.
crazy. Which is the same. It's the same amount. If you beat the other guy by 1 point, you get a 2-stroke lead.
And then Xander's going to clip him and win the FedEx Cup. I write it on the board. That's what's going to happen.
Xander Schauffele posts a 9 under for a 9 under total for the Open Championship, and he's the champion golfer of the year. There was a pair of great stories who finished in a tie for second. That is Justin Rose and Billy Horschel, who I think if you would have told before the day started, hey, Justin Rose, you could shoot a 4 under 67, and Billy Horschel, you could shoot a 3 under 68. I bet you both those guys would have accepted that. It falls 2 shots short. Let's start with Jay Rose here, Greg. I was impressed. I thought he was brilliant, right? I thought he played the golf course so strategically. I thought that he did not take on any unnecessary risk. I thought that he put himself, yes, maybe in some worse positions farther from the green than for a second shot than some of his peers. But I thought this was a very well executed major for Justin Rose.
Yes, and Sunday as well, right? You think this would be a great opportunity to kind of fade on Sunday, and he didn't. I think there are probably a couple of shots that he will regret, but it's very few. The putt at number 3, he had like 6 feet for birdie and missed it. The chip shot at number 12 hits it high on the face, a little fat, whatever you want to say, comes up well short. That one was pretty disappointing, kind of a dagger. But other than that, he plays a great back 9, and it does what everybody else does, right? He's just not quite able to get it all that close to the hole. And in normal circumstances, if Xander doesn't do what he does, Justin Rose is right there. You know, he played the golf course the way it was supposed to be played. You could make an argument that he made one mistake at number 12, whether it's the second shot or the third, take your pick. One mistake and you lose by 2. To go shoot a 67 in the final round of a major when you're in contention the way Rosie was, that's a hat tip. And his celebration on 18 was emblematic of that.
Yeah, and a couple of putts early in the round, Patrick, that if they fall, and they were very, very close, maybe this is a little bit of a different story. But the resurgence from Rose the last couple of years, along with Open qualifying for this, continuing to go out and grind, and then have this finish, color me impressed.
It looks like we were watching one of the best golfers of the last decade give it one last go. And you could see it on his face, the stare, how intense it was, how every single putt that burned the lip, it was life or death for him. For every single one that he made, it felt like he was celebrating like he was on the European Ryder Cup team. The one on 8 was awesome. And like Greg said, it really came down to that 2-hole stretch, in my opinion, on 12 and 13, where he drops the shot and then he's unable to convert an 8-foot birdie putt. And you just run into a train pretty much. You get steamrolled by Xander Schauffele, who cannot miss. And so I was rooting for Team Rose, although I had other rooting interest on this board. Team Rose was certainly high up there, just because it honestly seems like this was his last good go. And if you win, it's okay. You get 5 more years of this and all the other major championships. You get until you're 60 in the Open Championship as well. And you get one of the great competitors of the last handful of years, right? We talked about his accolades last night. Former world number 1, FedEx Cup champ, Olympic gold medalist, US Open winner, a ton of wins across the world. I mean, 26 years on from Birkdale, the story would have been unbelievable for him to finally capture the claret jug. And he's just been class personified, I think, throughout his career, right? Form is temporary, class is permanent. I think that's the perfect way to describe Justin Rose.
I sometimes I think he's corny, but he is like, yeah, super, super classy.
Just the drizzle.
Just the drizzle, baby. Just the drizzle. Let's add in another classy guy to the conversation. We've got Kyle Porter here. KP, it is good to see you.
Form is temporary, class is permanent. Did you make that up?
I believe the great poet Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson once said it.
It's a great line. I love it. What a tournament. What that was the best. It's the best.
How has your opinion, if at all, changed on Xander Schauffele in the last handful of months?
Yeah, well, so I think the thing that I wrote, I just finished, just turned it in, is the fact that he is that he's doing anything to sort of take on Scottie Scheffler's season is crazy. And I feel like Scheffler's season has kind of drowned out the fact that Xander's made a real leap up, and he was already like really good. But I think, to answer your question, Rick, the thing that always bugged me about Xander is you would hear guys like Phil or Max Homa or whoever say like, oh, you guys don't understand. And it's like, I don't know, man. Like, I think we're seeing it. Like, I think we do understand. I think you might not understand. And I think that's where it's changed a little bit for me of like, oh, like this is that maybe we didn't understand, you know, and I don't know how to view him. Like he's not like my guy. Like he's not emotive like Spieth. Like he doesn't like get the juices going, get the emotions going. But the leap that he's made this year is, and not just statistically, but like to close out events like that it's pretty crazy. Like it's really, really impressive.
Yeah, we'll circle back on Xander more, I'm sure. But let's put a bow on Billy Horschel here, Greg, because it was a 3 under 63 for Billy, who finished in a flurry. And maybe it was too little too late, but he birdied 16, 17, and 18 to get in at 7 under and finish tied with Justin Rose for second place. What did you see out of Billy on this Sunday?
Well, for one, the birdies on 16, 17, and 18, there were only 3 guys that shot better than 1 under on the second 9. It was obviously Xander, Billy Horschel, and Sungjae Im. I went down the board like 30 places, right? Nobody was better than was better than 1 under on that second 9. So really impressive finish for him, although it was at a time when it probably didn't matter. I thought Billy Horschel fought really hard, made a little mistake at number 3, driving it in a fairway bunker, made a mistake at number 8, missing the green from 100 yards. Those are 2 critical errors for him because Billy Horschel is not going to be able to take advantage of, the layout of he's not going to be able to dominate the golf course with distance. So, it's going to be hard to come by birdies on the second 9. And you have to take advantage of holes where you have an iron in your hand off the tee and you have wedges into the green. It's what Billy did all week and just made 2 little mistakes today. Those 2 things aside, he was fantastic. It did not look like the pressure of an Open Championship got to him. He fought so hard. His short game was so impressive. And I think Billy Horschel, even though he's not holding the claret jug, is a big-time winner this week.
Let's hit a couple of notables here. We'll go around, and I'll start with Shane Lowry here, Patrick, because Lowry had 3 rounds in the 60s this week. Hard to come by. 3 rounds in the 60s. However, the one in the 70s was a 77, and that was yesterday. Lowry turned in 3 under 33 and played the second 9 at even par. It was a nice little turnaround. You could tell how much he wanted to get into the mix late, but didn't have enough juice.
The damage was done Saturday afternoon, playing the last 10 holes of his 3rd round in 7 over. And he pretty much talked about it after his round, how he knew he threw away the Open Championship over those last couple of hours on Saturday. So said he wanted to come out, fight, and he definitely did that. I thought he was kind of going to fade into oblivion a little bit after that bogey on 3, but he tossed in a nice one from long distance. I think, what was it, like 60 feet on the par 3 early on the front 9, and had the putter in a good spot, much more so compared to Saturday when he seemed to be missing everything low and left. So another great performance for him, great Open Championship history. But I think, like I said yesterday, he let the little things get to him there in the middle portion of his round, and you do that and it can cost you a major championship.
It had been a while since we saw an Irishman kick away a major championship, so you just wanted to
another one.
We've got Rory's car already caught a couple of strays on this show. So
really? what from
I can't even remember what Greg said. Greg just ran him over for something.
No, we're comparing. They were saying that all the PGA Tour players would rather have Xander's year than Scottie's. It's like, Scottie does have the Masters. I could think of at least one PGA Tour player who would rather have Scottie's year.
Do you think Rory would, like, if you gave him either Scottie's year or Xander's year, what would he? I think that's actually a very good question.
Rory's the only one who I think is kind
100% Scottie.
Could be in a pickle.
You think so?
100%.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes. If he won the Masters, he might have Xander's year after winning the Masters, right?
Yeah. Well, no, that's not the. We're not bending time here. We're saying you either get this or that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
He ties Brooks for most in the modern era. Yeah. He gets something that Brooks doesn't have and that very few have, which is the career slam. And he wins a bunch of other events, the Players Championship again. It has to be.
Getting to 6 would be 6 is so many.
I think the question would be, would you rather cut off your pinky finger, not have Xander Schauffele's year? I think that's how bad Rory wants to win the Masters.
Would Rory cut off his pinky finger for the Masters for Scottie's year?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, he isn't interlock. He does do it using interlock grip, so
it would have to be his left pinky.
Yeah.
That's the most Greg response in history. The Lowry. He actually talked about this on. Maybe this is what you were referencing, Patrick, but he talked about it on Sunday. I think I've read 9 million words of transcripts this week, by the way. The Open, they post everything. There's every day, there's 100 transcripts.
And they also do the amount of live streaming they did on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Oh my God.
It's here's the range for 5 hours. I'm okay, I guess I'm watching this for the next 5 hours.
It's that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of the Open's the third best major. But he basically said I got home last night and this is Lowry, and I was down because he knew, one, he was playing great, and two, that he just it got going sideways and he knew he had basically lost the Open, and he kind of talked about how he felt like he could maybe get it back, but it would have taken a perfect round, and even that would have been probably short of what Xander did. So that was Saturday was his whole tournament.
Moved in the wrong direction on moving day. Jon Rahm, Greg, had the opposite that Billy Horschel did, which is Jon Rahm started with 3 straight birdies and got to the 8th tee 4 under par. He was able to play pretty well after that, but it was a 3 under 68 to move him up into a tie for 7th. By far the best major championship that we've seen out of Jon Rahm, by far the best round we've seen out of Rahm this year, and maybe something to build on going into next year.
I think so. This actually looked like Jon Rahm, and he talked about it in his presser before the tournament that he finally, for the first time since winning the Masters, felt like he was comfortable with his swing, which is kind of a surprising thing to hear from Jon Rahm. He got some equipment lined up, and all of a sudden he feels pretty good about his game. And this opening round looked like Jon Rahm for the first time. He came out really aggressive, especially on the greens. He was hitting putts with conviction. And sometimes in these previous majors, it's looked like he's been kind of backed up on against the ropes and hitting putts that don't have a ton of conviction. Like he's hoping not to miss them. And he was charging them at the hole today, the way Seve Ballesteros would. So it was good to see. And even on that second 9, he gave himself some looks. They were a little farther away, but man, a couple of those fall, and it could have been really special because he was out early. So, if Jon Rahm's at 4 under when the leaders are, early in the early going, it would be a big name on the leaderboard. Just didn't quite materialize, but a great round.
There is a live golf event next week, Patrick. They are in, I assume you know this,
London.
Yeah. I don't know. Yes,
Okay.
it's Live Golf UK, Live Golf United Kingdom.
Oh, okay. Maybe they took over the whole United Kingdom. Good for them.
The whole island. Is it an island? No, it's connected, I guess. Is it an island?
It's an isle.
Well, no, because the UK includes things that are not part, like
Wales, Scotland,
Britain is an
Ireland.
island. I don't think the UK is an island.
I think the UK
Why-
is an island.
UK includes England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland.
Yeah, Northern Ireland is not part of.
No.
The UK is not an island, right?
Well, it is an island.
It's an island.
It's not connected to anything.
It's connected to other countries, but the UK as a whole is not connected to anything else.
Multiple. It's technically 2 islands.
Yes.
Well, yeah,
Because
it's
you have the Northern Ireland.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's not an island. It's multiple
Islands.
A connection of islands.
It's parts of 2 islands. It's the
But there's
entirety
also-
of one island and part of another island.
There's also all this stuff up to the north. Like what does that count?
Oh,
as?
you mean Kirkwall and the Orkney region?
Yes, of
For
course.
sure.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
I heard they're going to play an open there.
that'd be sick.
Under the northern lights.
That would be amazing. Yeah, what's the time zone over there, Greg?
Oh no.
I've lost track.
It's
Yeah.
probably 15 minutes.
That's your whole bit is that you've
What the-
lost track.
Exactly. What's the time here? I've
Oh
lost.
gosh.
By the way, Patrick, I told my wife about the anything goes week.
How'd
during
that
open.
play?
I mean, I was eating ice cream at like 11 a.m. I was drinking coffee at like 4 p.m. I mean, it was like, she's like, what are you doing? And I was like, well, Patrick has this thing.
Famous last words.
I had leftover pizza at like 6 o'clock this morning, and I was feeling pretty good about it.
The airport comp is spot on.
Plays.
The number 1 player in the world, Scottie Scheffler, finishes T7, though it feels kind of icky, Patrick, because he made bogey on 6, the par 5. He made double on 9, and he made another double on 18, which included him like smothering one directly into the ground in front of him. It was just a bizarre scene. And Scottie was giving us the club drops again, which I have offered up to you guys that he should not be allowed to do. You should not be allowed to have this type of year and then complain with a club drop. You should have to just hold on to your stick the entire time. But it was not a Sunday that Scottie will remember.
No, and obviously the putts on 10 is what's gonna make the headlines, but pretty
9.
sloppy from 9. Pretty sloppy from tee to green. The first par 5, the fourth, he found a bunker. I don't even know if he knew it was there, about 45 yards away from the green. Surprisingly, Dan Brown's golf ball was right next to his too.
Yeah.
So he just saw Dan Brown go in it. And then on the very next par 5, he hits it in the fairway bunker off the tee, ends up carding a 6th there as well. So you have a 4-hole stretch there where you have 2 6s on the scorecard, which is tough to overcome when you have someone like Xander Schauffele doing his. So battled back with a couple nice birdies there, 7 and 8. But yeah, the putts on 9 was ugly, and by then it was kind of over. He was missing both ways there on the back 9 off the tee a little bit, and sloppy from the world number 1, truthfully.
Yeah, KP, it was so a couple things. He was in a ton of pop bunkers throughout the day. And then the 9th hole disaster, I believe he used the putter 4 times. I think the first one was just off the green, but he 3 putts from
6.5.
Okay, I was going to say it was 8. So I was going to give him a little bit of credit. So three jacks from 6.5 feet. And the putter was a problem all week.
It was. And I kept thinking, incorrectly so, apparently, that it would turn around, and I thought Sunday was a little emblematic of, like you said, Rick, kind of his entire week, and that he hit it. I mean, he didn't hit it as good. I mean, 18 is going to take away a lot of strokes from tee to green, but he didn't hit it as good probably on Sunday as he did on Monday and Saturday. I thought Monday and Saturday he hit it just unbelievable. Or
Thursday
and Saturday. Monday. I was thinking of the live stuff, the live coverage.
When you said Monday, I was like, yeah, Monday. I
I was going with it.
Yeah, anything goes. He didn't hit it as good. He hit it great, I thought, in round 1 and round 3. Not as good in round 4, obviously. He actually putted very well in round 2. That was kind of his good putting round. I think it was probably his best putting round. So yeah, it's I don't know. I guess the bigger discussion is like, how does Scottie view this major year? Would he trade his season for Xander's? No.
Yes.
3 instead of 2.
U.S. Open away.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Scottie's year's insane.
But again, sort of my point about Xander is the fact that this is even a conversation is really, really impressive. And yeah, I mean, look, like this week from Scottie felt like what his floor was at the majors this year. I don't know what happened at the US Open, but to me, the question is like, how long can you maintain that floor at the major championships? Because if you can maintain it for 10 years or whatever, then you're going to give yourself so many chances to win 40 majors, right? Like if he makes 5 putts this week or 2 whatever, like things go very differently. So that's the question for him is how long can you maintain a T7 floor at majors? Because if it's a long time, then you're going to win a bunch of them.
Yeah, Greg, he kind of stunk, right? Lost at least 3 strokes with the putter, made 2 doubles on Sunday, and finished T7. That's like, I always feel weird. I always feel dirty acting like Scottie had a bad week or something. Like it's an insane level of golf that he's playing.
Yeah. I didn't think that he had a bad week, but he never got, he was right there to get it go. I mean, it was extremely similar to Xander's week, except for the final 9s. But you think about Scottie didn't shoot over 36 for any 9-hole stretch in the tournament. But he also didn't shoot below 34 for any stretch of the tournament. It's remarkably consistent. And Xander was on a very similar pace until he shoots 31 on the back 9. And I just kept getting the sense that every time Scottie took advantage of, 7 and 8 or 6 and 7, he got a couple wedges in his hands and made birdies, hit the shots you expect. It felt like he was going to go on a run, and it was always upended by a short miss or a bogey or some, hitting it in a bunker. It felt like he just could not get any momentum. But at the same time, he made very few mistakes until Sunday. So there's a lot of good to be taken away. He gets into another Sunday where he's in legitimate contention, only 2 shots off the lead, and probably gave away a couple on Saturday afternoon as well. So there's certainly disappointment, but boy, is that floor sky high.
So high.
The roof is the ceiling.
It feels that way.
We are going to recap our wagers for this week, and
Let's just skip that and start talking about the Olympics or something.
We will get you the one and done update, and then Kyle will give us 30 minutes on the 3M Open. First, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners.
We need your sports news anywhere.
We've got breaking news to bring you.
Then get your sports anytime you want them. Big trade news overnight to discuss.
Because we know you need sports all the time.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
A legend adds to their legacy.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, anywhere, anytime, all the time.
And we're back. Let's check out how we did in the market. It's okay, KP. You carried us last week, and we'll try to help you out this week because we got 3 out of the 4 matchups correct. Greg, Cam Young over Sahith. That was a no sweater because Sahith missed the cut.
Yes, that was nice. I needed it. Haven't hit a matchup in a while, so definitely needed that one. And as you'll see the rest of the way, that was almost a clean sweep of bad. So I was very, very happy that Cam Young got this win for me.
Well, let's embrace the good. I also had a no sweater. Corey Connors over Louis Oosthuizen. Louis missed the cut. And Patrick, you basically had a no sweater. It was Russell Henley over Max Homa. Homa made a putt late on Friday to get in and then stayed towards the bottom of the leaderboard while Russell Henley was in contention all week long.
Yeah, Russell Henley, another quality start, approaching top 5 player in the world status, if I say so. You see the T7 at the U.S. Open, solo 5th this time around, went around Troon in bogey-free fashion there on Sunday. Just wasn't able to get enough circles on his scorecard, but I thought he had a real chance to win this golf tournament, to tell you the truth. Being only 1 stroke back entering today, I'll take the matchup win, but I thought he was going to do something special. Just not enough putts fell.
I say grazie mille to Matteo Manacero, who cashed a top 40 at plus 200. That works well. And Greg, I hate to point out a loss here for you, but this is kind of a dirty weekend from Patrick Cantlay to shoot a 75-73 to finish T25. You had him finishing inside the top 20, and maybe he has sourced a pair of wet socks from his pal.
Oh, yeah. That's something I'll let Patrick dive into, but you see he makes a 7 at number 6 today. And I think he made just a bogey at 12. So that was disappointing. A 7 at 6, bogey at 3, bogey at 5 on the par 3, excuse me. Yeah, this is disappointing. 2 shots out of a top 20. I think this is one of the hardest tournaments of the year to predict. You just get absolute carnage. And Patrick Cantlay was looking really strong for me for a long time. I had a good feeling about him, and much of the week was very good, but it just kind of disintegrated.
I think the wet, cold, windy, or rainy conditions for someone like Cantlay with the back and what he has to do to get up, it's just never going to jive for him.
Played well the first 2 days.
Was it wet?
Wasn't it?
It rained on Saturday, right?
Rained hardest on Saturday. There were moments of rain Thursday in the morning.
Maybe I'll take this back.
He did shoot 75. He did shoot 75 in rainy, wet conditions on Saturday.
I don't know. I mean, maybe it is.
I'll backtrack that one. Maybe.
I just don't like that he played 2 great rounds and 2 pretty crappy rounds. That's all.
Talking about JT.
JT had some 9s. He had some 9-hole scores in all directions, did Justin Thomas. We whiffed on the outrights, had a couple of guys in the mix. Lowry, Scottie was in the mix. One big one that I want to get to, and Josh, you can flip the page here because Tony Finau kind of hurt everybody. I was in the group chat earlier. So there were 70% of the one and done selections this week missed the cut. It was absolute carnage at the time. It was a lot of Rory McIlroy, a lot of Terrell Hatton, a lot of Tony Finau, and Finau went 71-81. And KP, I don't know if it was you and I who were talking about this earlier in the week, but this was probably the most disappointing thing because it looked like Finau was ready and he ejected with a triple on 9, a quad on 12, and just a big FU birdie on his last hole of the week.
I was hoping that's what you were about to say, because I was watching that birdie and the look on his face was basically an FU look. He was so pissed. Like he was just despondent about making birdie at the last. I don't know. Was he must have been in the wrong side of the draw.
Yes.
He was AM PM. Yeah.
So I mean that's part of it is like, and this is how do you, Rick, I'll throw this back at you. How do you feel about the draw stuff? Because it affects the tournament. Like we talk so much about like, oh, is this time of day and like all these different things that make it as fair as possible. And then you just get this very random thing that completely changes the tenor of the golf tournament. And I think over a career, it probably is negligible. Like it just is what it is, unless you're JT. Who's saying that JT always gets the wrong side?
I think he did.
No, Patrick. Yeah.
But for a specific event, like what if this was your only major that you've ever played and you get the wrong side, and it's like, I mean, it going in, but it still is like, I don't know how to feel about that.
From a fairness perspective, I think it stinks. I think that wiping out often half the field, like for no real reason, stinks. However, there are plenty of guys that come out of the bad wave.
Justin Rose.
Yeah. I mean, hashtag play better. Right. But I think that, once a year going into it where it is going to be like that, I'm generally fine with it. I don't, if every single week half the field was just eliminated because of a coin flip or something like that, I think it would be a little egregious. But once a year at a place that you're going to get it, and it's not 100% a death sentence, but yeah, it does stink to see guys just get smoked.
It affects the tournament so much, and I almost feel like this goes with one of my other takes. If Justin Rose wins this tournament, he should get 2 claret jugs. Like it's like, to come out of the bad side to win a tournament like this, you're playing insane golf, right? Like I think it's just easy to forget when and then you watch it and you're like, oh, Justin. Like I bet you the adjusted scores from the bad side, I bet Rose was, if he didn't beat Xander, I bet it was pretty close.
Yeah, probably. Now, what they could do is they could shrink the field and then put everybody out at the same time. I'm thinking 54-ish guys. You start them on 3 each on 18 holes. You shoot a gun in the air. That could combat it, I think.
Rick, I'll do you one better. What if, let's just play golf inside. Let's create a simulator league, probably in South Florida. Yeah. We hit into a big screen and we all get paid loads of money. What about that? Monday nights, probably.
I think I love
time.
It. Yeah, right. I could do that. As long as the only way I'd be in for that is if we came up with some wonky franchises and weird logos and I went from there.
I don't think there's enough of those in golf already. So I totally agree.
We will now provide an update of the one and done, which is of course brought to you by Supreme Golf, the world's largest tee time marketplace. And there's not a ton to update. As I mentioned, I believe 8 or 9 of the 12 most popular selections across the industry missed the cut. So the vast majority of people got $0 this week. That includes Kyle with Ludwig Oberg. It includes myself with Bryson DeChambeau. It includes Mark, who is now a Swiftie, with Tommy Fleetwood.
Wait,
okay?
Mark's a Swiftie?
Mark and the girls, and I'm assuming the whole family, saw Taylor in Dusseldorf or somewhere over there.
Correct. Great memory.
Thank you. And loved it, as I knew I told him he was going to love it.
Yeah. I would for sure go. I've never been to Dusseldorf, nor have I had the opportunity to go to a Taylor Swift concert, but way in. Armina saw the movie like 3 times, and I went one of them, and I was like, yeah, this is sick in a movie theater. I couldn't imagine like doing it in person. Have you seen Homa's shirt?
No.
He has a Starbucks lovers shirt. Have you seen this, Patrick?
No.
Well, there's that line in one of her songs that's like, I think the line is like long list of ex-lovers, but it sounds like Starbucks lovers. And Max Homa has this. Are you seeing this now, Rick?
Yes.
Okay.
Why you keep mishearing that Taylor Swift lyric?
Yeah.
Yes, I can read the lyrics, but all I hear is quote lonely Starbucks lovers.
Yeah. But the actual line is like long list of ex-lovers. Anyway, Max Homa wore a shirt to a Taylor Swift concert. There we go. Starbucks lovers.
Oh wow, that's a deep cut. I think I've seen that shirt and I did not know what that was.
Would wear.
That's a deep cut. So here it is. The song Blank Space. There is a line that says, got a long list of ex-lovers, and a lot of people hear that as all the lonely Starbucks lovers.
I got a long list of Starbucks.
No, just go listen to it. You can't recreate it. It's magic, Patrick.
And then this website has, some like ear doctor telling you why that people are hearing that. It's interesting.
An ear doctor.
I don't know, some brain doctor, somebody. I don't
Yeah,
know.
Kyle, you probably got an email from a PR rep. Hey, Kyle, we have ear doctor Emily who can talk about this Taylor Swift lyric for you. Are you interested in interviewing her?
For sure. Speaking of emails, did y'all see my Dan Brown email?
I did. I was very impressed.
Yes.
It's insane. What an insane week.
So what made you say, I'm going to fire off an email and see what happens this way?
I mean, I knew nobody else would do it. It was just you have all these, you have a million thoughts during the open week. And most of them, you're like, that's stupid. That's stupid. Oh, I should tweet that. Oh, I should do that. I should write that. And it was just one that I landed on. I don't know.
Well, good job. And he responded apparently pretty quickly.
He responded overnight. And honestly, I got the email and it said, I'd forgotten that I emailed him, and it said Dan B. And then it was like, here's my thought here. You get these emails all the time that are like, here's what I think about my thoughts on the open. And you're like, listen, I got to figure out my own thoughts on the open. And that's what I thought it was just some random person emailing me because I forgot that I emailed him. And this is what he wrote back.
So it says, so we're seeing it on YouTube right now, and it's a picture of Dan Brown holding just the head of a golf club, no shaft attached. And it says, this was the result of my last shot. I'm pleased to see my alter ego is playing better than I am. End quote.
So good. I think he was traveling internationally too. I looked at his Instagram. So he was who knows what time zone, Greg, but he was on more on the open time zone than I was.
So this is the best part about golf, not professional golf, but golf, is that almost everyone is golf adjacent.
Yep.
Like Dan Brown, the Da Vinci Code, immediately golf sicko to send out a photo of himself holding a club that right. Like everybody is golf sick.
Yeah. It's actually very cool. And I think it's a very unique thing about covering golf compared. Like Dan Brown doesn't have a photo of him in football pads.
I hope not.
I mean, maybe he does. That would be pretty crazy.
Yeah,
but there's definitely a sport he has no right. Like if he does have a football pads picture, he definitely never stepped foot in an ice rink. Right. like some golf, everybody's got something.
Yeah, it's cool.
3 goose eggs. Fleetwood, DeChambeau, and Ludwig. Patrick got $57K from Brooks Koepka. Patrick, how did that make you feel?
Felt good after the first round, and then slowly but surely I started to feel worse and worse. It's like after you eat fast food, you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then you start to get the stomach ache, then you start to feel really bad, and then you're like, oh gosh, why did I do that? Greg had the pick of the week, which is bad because I find myself saying that weekly at this point over the past month. And the ground is wide between us. The margin is wide between the top and second place.
We'll get to that in just 1 second. Josh had Jordan Spieth, got $124,000 for a T25. KP, Spieth stinks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just nothing.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I was talking to a friend about this last night. If he doesn't get, if there's not some sort, I don't know, I don't want to speculate on him getting surgery, but if there's not some sort of hey, my injury is fixed in the off season type narrative, then I don't go into 2025 thinking anything other than what happened in 2024.
Yeah, and I'm like more willing to say that he stinks because I do think it's mostly wrist and stuff related. So I'm hoping that there is a conclusion and a fix on the horizon, but it's a very tough watch this year. Now,
real quick, I think when you say it's risk related, that doesn't even necessarily mean like during events. It means, hey, maybe it's hard to practice because you can't put in the reps because you don't know when it's gonna. I mean, we talked about this a million times, but he sounds like he doesn't know when it's gonna flare up. And that's maybe even worse than it being constant. It's just it seems like a bit of a mess. So I'm interested to see how that narrative evolves or doesn't evolve over the next several. He's not going to be on the President's Cup team though.
No. Don't worry though. We got Russell Henley.
Dude, I'm in. Is there room on the Rust bus, Patrick?
Oh yeah, come on in. No seatbelts though. Old school bus.
Well, Jordan should withdraw his name from consideration for the President's Cup team and endorse Russell Henley.
I can't think of another president that's withdrawn his name recently. I mean, that's crazy.
Another American to withdraw his name from consideration. Jon Rahm, Greg, congratulations, you stinker. 19.3 million is where you're at because you won the week with 451,000 from Jon Rahm. And with the way the rest of the board shook out, I don't know the run your pool numbers, but there was probably a handful of Xanders. I can't think that a lot of people had saved them for this point. There probably was not a lot of Justin Rose and Billy Horschel and Tristan Lawrence and all that stuff. So 451,000 might be pretty solid for you.
Yeah, it might move up pretty good. I mean, I'm sure there was a lot of Shane Lowry. That would make sense. Probably a ton of Russell Henley.
He's used up. He's used up by now, Greg.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Do you think there was a lot of Tristan Lawrence?
Probably 0% ownership.
I'm gonna find out.
Lawrence.
If you took him in one and done, I mean, I get it if you're going to play him in like a fantasy lineup. There was some good stuff coming in, but to play him in one and done would be insane.
Yeah,
no way. In one and done would be insane.
5 Xanders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 Billy Horschel.
Only 5 Xanders.
He's been used. He just gets
used up.
Over. Yeah. 1 Billy Horschel. 1 Russell Henley.
God. Whoever that is,
right,
let me know. I will buy you a beer.
Juantonio.
One who?
Juantonio.
Oh. I didn't know what you were saying.
There is a user named Wet Socks that was one of the 9 people who picked Shane Lowry.
Okay.
Handful of Scottie Scheffler, or excuse me, there was a lot of Jon Rahms actually. That was probably pretty heavily selected. But there was a ton of Bryson and Fleetwood and
Finau,
Hatton.
Can I just say that Bryson will never win an Open?
Yeah, you can say that.
I mean, just zero. This is not a I hate Bryson take. Like, it's just he can't win an Open take. Like, he just can't.
Maybe at St. Andrews he could.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we'll get you the updated numbers, but Jon Rahm and Greg extend their lead here for us. Everybody else stays in their current position as far as we go. And then we'll get the updated stuff for next week. That edition of the One and Done is brought to you by Supreme Golf, the world's largest tee time marketplace. I'm through my responsibilities, boys. Anything else?
I will say that it stinks that we have to wait, I don't know, like 300 days for another major, whatever it is, especially when you consider like the casual, the normies are in the middle of golf season right now. I feel like it should line up more. Yeah, bring one back in August. Because, Greg, your golf season started what, like a couple of months ago up there?
Yeah, right around Masters time, usually, early April, maybe you're pushing it a little bit. PGA time, everybody's into it. So, look, the hard thing is obviously the NFL. And so you want to have playoffs. So I understand where the kind of pickle that you get put into.
Sticky
So
pickle.
it's condensed. There's been a lot of complaints in golf about how, especially from my wife, about how long the season is. And having it condensed a little bit is perhaps an antidote to that. I think the schedule is actually in a pretty good place, quite frankly. It's a long wait. I'm with you, but
Yeah.
I think it's actually pretty good.
Could just get rid of the playoffs and have a fifth major in August.
At East Lake.
So Josh and I were talking about this. Producer Josh and I were talking about this earlier today. I've got NASCAR on, by the way. It's the thing that came on after the Open, and somebody's tire just came off, which was kind of like Dan Brown today on the back nine, or Sam Burns. Sam Burns shot 80.
Dude.
Oh,
Sam
wow.
Burns. Yes. Here's your moment, Sam. Your moment. Here it is. You get a chance to take a run at a major championship. 80.
I think he shot 43 on the back or something.
Oh my
40.
God.
Yeah.
Right of the railroad track on 11.
Yeah.
Does somebody go out there and pick up those golf balls?
Definitely.
Probably.
I'm shocked him and JT didn't put together a better showing today.
Anyway, producer Josh and I were talking about how I think the Open, and you could talk me into like moving the dates of the Open a little bit, but I think the Open should be the end of the golf year. Like I think the walk up 18 for the champion that's curtains, like that's it on the golf year. Because now
you'd have to adjust the dates though, I think.
You would have to adjust the dates, but you could move it into like early August, right? Like I don't care what you do with the FedEx Cup. Do whatever you want with it, but now you're trying to get people to care about like the first round of the NBA playoffs after the NBA finals.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
it doesn't crescendo properly.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And so and this is what happens when you have 9 organizations running the sport, but the whole thing is like this should be the build up to the end of, like, this should be the crescendo, and it's just, you guys have a DFS show on the 3M Open tomorrow. It's insane.
It is actually sick that we're going to do that tomorrow. And
That's what I'm saying.
Patrick McDonald, Tony Finau is playing, which is good news for you.
Exactly what I need to turn my season around. I'm still alive. I have a feeling.
Oh boy. Anything else?
You guys have a DFS show.
We do actually have a big week next week still. So we've got we do have a DFS show, but we have a network show tomorrow, Monday. That's at 2 p.m. Eastern on CBS Sports Network. We'll have the Tuesday Mega Pod. There is also a Friday Cut Sweat show on the network. Round by round recaps. It's cooking. We're cooking over here.
Like another major.
Some would say.
Another major.
And then the Olympics.
Then the Olympics, which are actually pretty sick. And then those are that's cool because that's kind of back-to-back weeks because you get the men the first week and then the women play the second week.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. And it's not on an insane time zone like Japan was.
Yeah.
Right. You can actually watch it.
Yeah.
Le Golf National. Familiar with the golf course too. Pretty cool.
Great for the Americans.
Whew.
Did you see
they have all the majors?
the no laying up tweet of like Americans have won 9 of 10 majors and still managed to get dusted in the Ryder Cup.
Crazy. Wyndham Clark is what is Wyndham gonna break the top 50 at the Olympics? Like
he should withdraw. He should pull a Biden and just WD.
Yeah, and who would be the next guy in? Do we know? Who was the first man out?
I think Morikawa was technically first man out, but it could have been Bryson. I mean, the masses were clamoring for Bryson.
Morikawa is out? Oh, no, he's in.
Oh, no, he's in. He's in. It might have been Cantlay. It was Cantlay or Bryson.
Or Henley.
Never mind. We'll just go with 3.
That's fine. Yeah, just pull a Netherlands and just don't take anybody.
We're good. We'll save the budget. Save the travel budget. All right. We will be back tomorrow. Not 1, but 2 pods. One on the network, the other live on YouTube. And then you'll be able to get the on-demand version on YouTube anyway. But big thanks to producer Josh, does all the hard work behind the scenes. That right there, Patrick McDonald. You can find him at P McDonald CBS. Greg DuCharme at The Real GFD. Kyle Porter at Kyle Porter CBS. And you can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut. We'll catch you next time.